Some would say that God created evil, but that's not what the Bible teaches.
All right, let's see it.
What the Bible teaches is that God created Lucifer, who was a beautiful angel, perfect in every way. He was dazzling. As you look at him, you would just absolutely think he's the most beautiful being out there. And his job was to glorify God. But Lucifer, when he looked at himself, pride swelled up in his heart, and he says, wow, I can be God myself. He says, I will set my throne above the stars of God's throne. I'll be like the Most High. I'll be bigger than him. I'll be better than him. And so Lucifer used what God created in him to pervert that. He perverted it, and he created evil.
This is absolutely not what the Bible says. This is an entirely post-biblical renegotiation of some passages from the Hebrew Bible that originally had absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with Satan or with the problem of evil. The first of these passages is Isaiah 14:12, in which the author refers to the king of Babylon as Halel ben Shachar, which means shining one, son of the dawn in Hebrew. And this is a way to sarcastically mock the king of Babylon and his hubris by identifying him with a deity associated with the planet Venus. And in its original context, this has absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with any figure named Satan. No such figure existed within Jewish tradition yet, and also Satan would not be identified with the serpent from the Garden of Eden until after the New Testament had been completed. The other passage seems to me to be Ezekiel 28, which is another sarcastic mocking of a human king, this time the king of Tyre. And it explicitly refers to this king of Tyre as an Adam, a human, and then talks about this Adam, this human, being in the Garden of Eden and being perfect until they sinned. This also has absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with Satan or with the serpent from the Garden of Eden. This is connecting the king of Tyre as an Adam with the human in the Garden of Eden. Now, Satan would not be connected with Lucifer or the serpent from the Garden of Eden until after the entire Bible had been completed. It is a Christian, post-biblical renegotiation of these traditions.
So God didn't create evil. What God did was create a beautiful angel with a free choice to love God, to honor God, to use what God has given him to glorify God, and yet he was perverted in his ways, and instead of trying to glorify God with what God gave him, he glorified himself, and because of that, evil is in the world.
Well, the big problem with this is that Isaiah 45:7 does say that Adonai creates Ra, which can be translated evil. Now, the full statement is, I make peace and I create Ra. And because peace isn't the most convenient antithesis for evil, Tov would be the best, as we see in the idea of the tree of the knowledge of Tov and Ra. Some people suggest that we need to reinterpret Ra as calamity, something closely associated with evil, but not quite evil. And there's an argument to make for that, but let's keep in mind that this passage was composed in the post-exilic period when there was a juxtaposition of Jewish and Zoroastrian ideology, and there was a dualism in Zoroastrianism that was influencing Judaism, where there are malevolent and benevolent deities that are responsible for the good and the evil. And so this passage has been interpreted by many scholars as pushing back against that dualism and saying, no, evil comes from God. And that is a position that we find elsewhere in the Hebrew Bible. And the notion that there was this malevolent deity would be a later development within Greco-Roman period Judaism and then further systematized within Christianity. But this notion of Lucifer as this proud angel who falls and introduces sin into the world is an entirely post-biblical innovation. And the fit for this video has been Bizarro.